Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. I'm going to explain why, even though the graph does show that we could actually go down to 35,000 or so on this dip, because last time we kind of bottomed at around 30,000 when we maxed out at 63,000. This time we went to 69,000. So this time, if we bottom out around the same cycle, we would get about 35,000. Even though it's possible that we do that, I don't think it's very likely because of a specific reason relating to another graph. Now, as you can see here, Bitcoin really started to go down kind of like after the second hump. The first hump was the highest, but essentially like it went back down and then it popped back up like, nearly $10,000 before it went down for good. Now, this date over here was around May the 8th. And if you actually look at the hash rate, around May the 13th, May the 14th is when the hash rate reached an all-time high. Now, the thing is, like, around May the 7th, that's when you start hearing the Chinese FUD. Like, the Chinese FUD actually started about a week or two before they actually kicked all the miners. They made preparations to kick out all the miners. And actually, like, the first news actually happened a month earlier in April where they were saying they were preparing to, but they really started to prepare like a week before. And when they started to kick out all the miners, you can see the graph completely slid down. And the hash rate actually bottomed out on July 3rd. If you actually look at July 3rd on this graph, it's over here where we're already basically like slinking along the bottom. It did completely bottom out on July 18th, but basically by July 3rd, it had pretty much reached the bottom. It was just like dabbing back and forth. And after basically July 18th, it started rising up slowly again in very consistent, kind of like with this graph, like July 18th was around here. And then this dipped down a little bit again. And then 2 days later, it started rising back up. So I do think like the hash rate, obviously, and the price are very, very consistent with each other. And this is even before this dip. Now, this place right here, and you can actually see back on April 12th, when this actually started dipping up here, this was like exactly April 12th, there was a huge dip because like the Chinese FUD actually started like here. But then it rose back up again on like a dead cat bounce, sort of. But not really a dead cat bounce because I think China actually came out with some news that said it wasn't going to be that bad. And then they were like, no, we're just like destroying it right here. So then it went way down. Now, the reason why I don't think it's going to go down to 35 and follow this graph is because you see this. Basically, like this price happened because of the Chinese thing, and the hash rate went from 180, basically less than half, to 86. I just don't really see that happening again this time. There's no real incident that would actually make that happen because China was like, the biggest miner country by far, and they've already kicked everyone out. So they can't kick everyone out again because there's no one there. Now, you're saying, well, maybe India could. First of all, India basically said they're not going to ban crypto. They're going to regulate it. And second of all, India doesn't have as much of effect because there's not in that much Bitcoin hash rate that's actually in India. Most of it's actually moved to the United States, Kazakhstan, or Canada. And we know that Canada is not going to ban it. We know that Kazakhstan, they'd be kind of dumb to ban it because I don't hear any rumblings of Kazakhstan banning it. And we know that it's actually picking up popularity in the United States. We might try to regulate it as a security. I mean, most cryptos, but not really Bitcoin. We might see it as security, but we won't ban it. There's enough pro-crypto people in Congress where we actually won't ban Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining. And you can see states like Wyoming, Colorado, etc., opening up to Bitcoin mining, and they don't want to lose that business. So they will fight the federal government if the federal government tries to ban Bitcoin mining, which they will not. They might have to go a little bit greener in the future, but they won't ban Bitcoin mining altogether. Plus, the U.S. is not a closed economic country like China. The government does want some control over the economy, but it will never have total control over the economy like China. So the U.S. won't ban it, and we know that Canada won't ban it. Kazakhstan won't ban it. So the thing is, and like Russia's kind of like comes to grips with it too. So I don't really see any other major threat ban from this to cause the hash rate to actually drop in half. And the hash rate dropping in half also caused basically the price to drop in half. So we might sling around 40, 50,000 for a while, but going all the way down to 35 or possibly lower because of a giant crash, I think or any giant long-term crash is unlikely. Now, could we go back to like 40,000 on a black swan event? Yes. But that black swan event will probably only last a few hours before coming back up, so you will have to take the opportunity. A long-term retrace down to half or more right now I don't think is likely because there's just nothing that would actually crash the hash rate to less than half of what it was. And since the hash rate and the price kind of go hand in hand, the price might dip, and that in turn might affect the hash rate. But the thing is, like, it won't cut that much because it's not like the Bitcoin miner is just going to give up mining Bitcoin unless Bitcoin like spontaneously combusts or something, which it's not going to do. So because the fact that there is no other China that's going to ban Bitcoin, they can think of all the other FUD they want, but it's not going to affect it decisively as the China ban on Bitcoin mining, because that actually did destroy the hash rate and nothing else can do that. None of the other countries are going to do that because they all want Bitcoin business. So that's why we won't crash to 35K or lower. And that's why I don't think we're going to have the 60% retrace we did earlier. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.